happy at least some. Did you? No one was down there, right? Wandering.
Mm-mm.
No.
I got lost because I thought nobody was there and I got the wrong Saturday. And I was leaving. And all of a sudden I heard a voice and I decided to come
Well, there
this
you
way. I
go.
wonder if somebody else thought the same.
Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
Alright.
they didn't need to come anyway.
No, if they came
We're
on
giving
this way.
them not so subtle hints by having canceled meetings and shit like that. I can't find the meeting. Thank fucking God.
Why is that?
Did anything inherently change?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm joking, honey, but all right. I'll try to get serious.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to many, so let me go over again. No, I mean, let me go over again. Simple thing first. This would be 101, like meeting 101. All right, the message isn't coming from me, nor is it targeting you. All right, so we're throwing the message. We're trying to get past you, not to you. You're seen as the obscuring factor. You're not seen as the one that's going to receive the message, in my view. We're attempting to throw a curve, that like a knuckle curve, that will go around you, and you can't miss the target, which is everywhere. Yeah, so you can throw it up this way. All I know is the mental state may be pretty good at juggling 3 balls. You've got to keep adding balls. Yeah, so it drops. Yes, that's the when you see. I'm understanding. I'm getting it. You throw in another ball, and then finally it just stops, and that's it. That's really the beauty of it. Because when the head stops, you continue. Yeah. When the head, it's wanting to know and grab and understand, gets thwarted enough. There's a pause. It's a pause. It whacks, and there you are. Yeah. That's just sort of like if the movie stopped and completely left the screen, you would be there looking at the screen. That would be an incredible moment. Yeah. Not just the movie stopped and it was still, but all the colors left, and there it was, and you would see. Yeah. That pause would be the moment of the most knowledge. Yeah. That pause. Yeah. You would. To me, the highest form of knowledge erases a lot of knowledge. Erases a lot of knowledge. It goes through the files and sees what's unnecessary. It has no personal bias. It just cuts it all out. And you're left empty, in a way, and you never not been empty. Yeah? It's just all the appearance of all this stuff is shown to be just that, an appearance. Hey, Huddy, I've got a hat. You want to move this chair and get in the sun? Yeah.
There's the sun. Is anybody there?
Yeah.
It's in the shade a bit.
Oh, it's okay.
Move over here.
They're not. You can move them. Yeah. We haven't locked them in to the ground. I'm going to start every time a new person. Another person
Until we
comes.
get it.
No, I gave up that.
I'm teasing.
You're not going to get it. That's the good news.
I'm not gonna get it.
No.
I'm going home then.
You're home already.
Aw.
Yeah. You're getting it is a subtle assumption. You're wanting to get it as a subtle assumption that you're not at home. That's all it is. It's to me. I just boil it into one statement. It's this: what you are is the seeing of what you're not. Yeah. You have the ability to see what you're not. You do not have the ability to see what you are. Because you are that, yeah. You are the seeing, and so that seeing is going to go unseen here. There's not going to be anyone who's ever going to see the seeing. Yeah. The seeing is going to go unseen here. That which is hearing is going to go unheard. That which is feeling is going to go unfelt. Yeah. You are what you're looking for. The dilemma is we're using what we are to look for what we are as what we're not. And all that gets emphasized isn't what we are, the what you're not gets emphasized. The noble story is, oh, I'm in the pursuit of losing myself with the hopes of finding this. It's just more of you. Yeah. So you see it. You see that this is like a bizarro world, that people are trying to get into what they can't be out of the moment. Yes. There's no way you've been out of any moment you've been in, ever. It's impossible. You're the basis of the moment. Without you, there's no moment. So this idea that my head, because it's agitated, is sufficient enough to take me out of the moment is giving way too much relevance to that which isn't relevant, really. You're giving it way too much power. Yeah.
So could you say then that you cannot know what you are, you can only be what you are?
Well, yeah, and you not only be, you are being what you are. Yeah, because then it sounds like, oh, I can only be what I am. It's just how it's always heard. Yeah. It's like if I describe that we're dreaming and the dreamt hears it, the dreamt translates that which is, oh, I should get 50 Cadillacs and new knee joints and a lot of girls or whatever. It believes if I was dreaming, it would all be about me. Everything would be great. You don't see it. You don't see the dreaming from the dreamt. Yeah? You see the dreamt from the dreaming. Yeah? To start at the dreamt and trying to understand dreaming as the dreamt is an errand looking for fool's gold. Yeah? See the dreamt from the dreaming. You're the dreaming. You actually are what you've been looking for. You are that. All these cryptic statements they're not trying to, they're just saying, hey, the seeker is the sought. Yeah? So it would make no sense if the seeker is the sought. If you see it in that logic, then the seeking, that's promoting the idea of the seeker, is the obscuring agent. So the sought is being used to seek. Yeah? You don't need like a PhD to understand that, the failedness of that, if I'm using what's looking to look for what's looking. I'm blind to what's looking. Yeah? It would be an act of blindness. I would be blind. I'd be using myself to look for a conceptual idea of myself. How's that gone? How's it going? It hasn't gone that well. Yeah? Because it's failed. It's off. It's off, and it doesn't matter. No, you can tailor it as much as you like. You can add extreme radical and fucking this and then hybrid it with other things. It's not going to work because I am what we're looking for. So what has to get knocked out? Not the looking for it, but seeing you're not that which is looking for it. Yeah? That's all. The looking for it can continue. The action figure has a certain sense of blindness. It's never going to get completely corrected. Yeah? It's just blind so that it can see everything from its this. To give this meaning, it has to be somewhat blind. Yeah? All right? But you can see you're not that which is looking, using what it is to look for what it is. You can see it. I mean, it's right there, plain day. You just take any day of this week, let's say now, you can recognize it. Yeah? And what happens when you recognize it? I don't know, find out. Maybe that elusive contentment will be readily available right where you are at all times. I don't know. If you want to hunt yourself like a wild fucking big game animal, then go ahead. But you I got the big contentment. No, it's just a dog shit awareness contentment. Those drives, that urge, that has been chilled out. It's just been turned off. Yeah, like you're not on a low idle, ready to go. No, it's shut off. It's just chilled out. It's just like for me, getting struck sober. I have never thought about drinking or using or felt like it for 31 years. It's exactly sort of like the same feeling. Something that was incredibly influential stopped being influential. Yeah, I had this giant radioactive isotope of fucking wanting to escape, wanting to get out of myself, and then one day it was removed. And it hasn't ever regrouped ever since. That's fucking amazing. Why would I keep it in that little tiny topic? Entertain the possibility that demonstrated. Yeah. You'll know the problem from the solution. You'll have relief, and then you'll know why there seemingly wasn't availability of relief. That's how it works. Yeah. You get what you find. You're in what you had been looking for. You're in contentment, you're in satisfaction. You now have the ability to enjoy peace of mind. Yeah. You understand serenity because you have a sense of it, yeah? And you also have a very clear assessment of the system, the action figure. And the action figure is not capable of getting what you are. It is capable of coming to terms with it being what you're not. It's capable of doing that. It can reach a level of humility where it realizes it's a failed system, yeah? And you can't, like Einstein said, you can't get out of the system as the system, yeah? If the mental state is producing the problem, you can't seek the solution through the mental state, yeah? Something has to, there's got to be a move, yeah? So that you can see the system from outside the system. And I'm saying you are outside the system. You've never been inside the system. The belief the mental state sells us is you're really fucking in the system, and now you have to get out of the system. And until you get out of the system, it's not going to be really that great. But all the while, it's the system masquerading as the one that wants to get out of the system. You're just more in it. The more you want to get out of it, the more you're in it. That's how it goes here. The more you want to get out, the more you're in. I'm just telling you, that's how it works. Yeah?
It's a relief.
It's a great relief. And then what happens? Find out. You can be exquisitely here to experience this day. You can hear the wind, check out this. Just tons of stimuli going, and you're never not here. Yeah, you never get gypped. If only drops off. I could have drops off. I should have drops off. You just realize if something was supposed to happen, it did, and if it wasn't, it didn't. That's the way it goes. Yeah, and so now you're traveling lighter. And what more do you really want? This isn't going to go with you to the God levels. It's going to be left in the garage of this place. Yeah, it has its utilitarian purpose, which ends. Yeah, you're not going to be of this plane, plane, for long. Yeah, this 80 or 90 year experiment in time is going to be whoosh, 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 like nothing ever freaking happened. Yeah. I just can't see how you want to build so much in something that's going to be gone. You know, reach a level of maintenance where this is working, all right, I'm feeling pretty good, this and that, all right. Why would you want to polish something constantly that's going to erode? You know what I mean? Do you want to get stuck in the car when the call comes? Yeah. So, all I saw when these things started to happen, all that came as downloads were reverse engineering. That's all it was. It just told me why things were happening the way I thought they were happening. And it's all manufactured. And it's in a weird way, it's using the power that this is, like a factory, to manufacture its own products. And everything that it sells has made in Paul. And so I'm owning shit that I have nothing fucking to do with. Yeah. I'm owning thoughts that aren't mine, and feelings that aren't mine, and actions that aren't mine. Yeah. And this bondage to all this stuff as the noun is driving the fucking noun crazy. It wants to get out of itself as itself. That's the source code we all run into. I remember young, reading fantasy, Edgar Allan Poe, trying to get out of me through reading. Change, science fiction, different, maybe magical realism. All right? Then drugs. Yeah? I would just keep pounding away. It wasn't working. What happened? I just changed vehicles. Spirituality. That wasn't working. Back to drugs. Then recovery. The thing, you're not going to, the system has an aberration. The self-centered system has an aberration. It hits self, can't get out, and it can't go any farther. It just keeps trying to get out of self as self. And it just keeps switching vehicles, but it's the same format. It only has two speed. It goes this way and this, boom, 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 boom. I've seen it. I shot so much drugs as religious experiences for fucking years, to the point where I promoted the death moment with the hopes that I'd have 1 second free from self. I swear to God,
Before
that's
you
all
died.
I was looking for. What?
You meant before you died?
Before I died, I figured it's got to give up. There's got to be a second where there's a freedom from it. And I gave it a damn good shot. No pun intended. Many good shots. And I'll tell you, and there was no convincing it otherwise. As soon as it was completely failed in drug addiction, it went to spirituality. Well, this is the way I'm going to get out. 13 hours of meditation, not eating, just like fucking dry soup, losing 20 pounds in 20 days, just fucking having hallucinations constantly, nothing. When all said and done, self was right there. There isn't a self, it's you, And so, all right, then back to some other thing. And then all it is, you see what they do to failed systems. They just add words on it to them. Radical, extreme, or they start hybriding it with other. We're gonna mix a little tantric yoga with fucking breath work, with the who am I, They're just they keep throwing the die, hoping they get a winning fucking formulation. Yeah? And then just perchance, like they say, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Just perchance it may work, then you write a book and you're thinking it can apply to everyone. And it doesn't, because the dreaming overrides everything. Yeah. Why not go back? Maybe there was no point of trying to escape from an imaginary place. Maybe through a sober assessment of what's going on, there can be a pause, and then the system can be reconfigured. Yeah. Or let's say it stops and a lot of interest and attention gets removed, and now it's available now. Yeah. And it doesn't have, it's been weaned off the addiction of yesterday and tomorrow. It's just here, now, yeah? When the thought system goes off on its little forays, it doesn't follow much, because it smells the thing. As soon as it's ready to go, hey, I've been on this fucking hunt for thousands of times. I think I'll stay home, let's say. It's nothing like that, but it's just, you have a newfound immunity to what used to seem to take your attention and interest and just bring it to yesterday and tomorrow all fucking day. Yeah, you're now available and present, and therefore of service. You're just here. And I'll tell you, if the playing field was leveled, you know what? 5 conscious experiences will override all the fucking machinations of what's not happening. Just being awake to this can override all the apocalyptic fucking fears and all the fucking shit there, because this is happening. You may not like it, you may like it, but you can't override the fact it's happening now. Yeah? The seeing is telling me, the hearing's telling me, the feeling's telling me, the tasting, not too much right now, the smelling, yeah, someone here. Yeah? The head loves the what's not happening. Nothing's going on there. It's just mental fucking machination. You're making up shit all day. And the only thing that could make what's not happening seem to happen is what's happening. It's us. Yeah? A Labrador isn't saddled with worries about next week. It isn't. It's not fucking thinking about, oh, when's he taking me to the beach? No, they're just fucking here, yeah, because they don't have the ability to entertain. They could be anywhere else. Now we seem to have that ability, and it's taken over. Yeah, it's like how on 2001 the computer has taken over the mission. Yeah, now we're living in what's not happening. I speak with a lot of people in recovery, and mostly what's driving them crazy isn't happening right now. It's something that did happen, they believe, and it was something that's going to happen. So if you look at it, they're basically occupied by what's not happening all day. The cure is in seeing it. What's motivating me to look for what I am? I must be in the identification as what I'm not. That's the only way it would have that much juice. Yeah? So correct that. You don't have to do any more. Correct that. Just get the horse in front of the cart and then see what moves you and what doesn't move you. Yeah? And see if what moves you and doesn't moves you works better than what used to move you. And if it does, allow it to keep being entertained. It has its own generation. It's got a lifelong lasting battery. It doesn't need your help. It just re-engage. It's just there. It's completely on. Yeah? Just see what you're not. If you're beholden to thoughts, what keeps seemingly the beholding to thoughts? The idea of being a thinker. At least if you're going to look at the dilemma, get to the exact nature of the wrongs. Why do you... Oh, it's the thoughts that are driving me crazy. No, it's being the thinker of the thoughts that are driving you crazy. At least, see, if you keep buying tins and putting it on a rash, and you believed this is the tin that should work, completely believe, you're showing no relief from the thing, but you're just fucking putting it on and on and on. Try another tin, and then if you get relief, read it. If it says for psoriasis, you had psoriasis, yeah? So that's just the solution. This is how you get to the diagnosis. Look at what medicine does here. It's all netty in an insane way. They don't know what anyone has. They just cancel out things with the hopes that you'll still be alive when they finally get to the thing that's bothering you. They did it with me. I had a staph infection in my body I had a rod, and it was just living in there. And they thought I had AIDS, tons of things. Every fucking, not this. And suddenly they dawned on it, he has staph, and they wouldn't let me leave the hospital, you know? Every day of the month, I was leaving with the same situation. Suddenly, you have staph. You got to stay here. Operated that next day. Yeah. I mean, it can take months. Yeah. I'm telling you, see what you're not. Are you the thinker? See, can that assumption be verified? Can you see the raw material that's nothing, and then you make it a thought? Yeah? And then you groom it like you breed dogs? You make it for its own purpose? Of course not. You're not the thinker. That's a thought. It's a thought never seen. Yeah. You don't see it as a thought. You feel it's a true feeling. Every time there's a thought, I feel like I'm the thinker of it. Every time there's seeing a vision, I think I'm the seer of it. This is the bondage. When people are describing fucking mind candy things, get down to the nitty gritty. See how it is to be you. Yeah? And see, well, are the assumptions correct that your whole life is based on? If they're not, let's look at that. You don't have to go far. It's right where you're sitting. Check it out. And non-duality is just a negation of all those assumed facts. It's just saying not to. Yeah? There's not a seer and not a seen. What is two? Seeing, seer, seen, not two. Doesn't do anything with the seeing. The seeing's a fact, yes? Let's just not two, seer, seen. Hearer, hearing, no. Hearer, heard, yep. It's negating those. It's negating the subject-objectness of the interpretation of this life. It's saying that's not true. Yeah. If I'm not the thinker of the thoughts, what happens? Find out. I see the same things. People have the experience of resenting something. Once it's called their resentment, they can have it for 50 years. They milk it. They fucking groom it. It's their prized little cow. Oh, this is why none of my marriages work. They just make up an incredible story. This one event caused everything. It's all made up. What happens if it's seen as a resentment? It comes and goes. You know what I mean? It's not put into orbit for 4 years. Yeah. This is the beauty of it. You're not changing the resentment. You're not changing what's happening. You're just seeing the mental addition that's not a fact. Yeah? Yeah, there's a resentment. Is it yours? No. Oh, fear arises. Is it your fear that arises? No. Yeah? Anxiety. Is anxiety fear? No. It's a mimicking of fear, but it's mental anxiety that comes from entertaining what's not happening. All right, that's a pretty good diagnosis. So now you get to see the disease, and what's possible then? You're the cure. You don't need a salve. You don't need an ointment. It's the seeing. The seeing is the clarity. The seeing is the bleach. The seeing is the cleansing of it all. Just the awareness of that as awareness. That's all it is. It makes a huge impression on one. Yeah? And now suddenly a fact is in place, and you see the assumption and the supposing and the inferring and the implying that's constantly going on that has no basis in fact at all. It's a narration made up based on self-centeredness. And maybe it was fun to entertain it, but now it's owned you. Yeah? Now you can't, it's like Henry Winkler getting caught by the character of the Fonz. Yeah? You can't get out. He's the Fonz. You know, you sort of seemingly, it appears to you that you're captured. See, that's the beauty. Every capture is annulled because it only reaches the level of appearing to be so. This whole place is predicated on seemingly. It's appearing to be true. Yeah? And then the same thing that drove you crazy can appear not to be true, and now you're not driven crazy. What's the axis of it? You. Yes.
Sorry.
I mean, we have broken it, you know, it's just bare bone. Just see what you're not. And in the seeing of what you're not, the sense of what you are will start becoming dominant in your life. Yes. And you'll feel it. It'll be like an unspoken yes. It just has a rightness to it. Yeah? And then you become your own authority. And in my case, as a story, it became the last answer, which is an incredible answer. It took all need for any other answer concerning this topic away. they haven't returned in freaking years. Okay? So it's unbelievable when you know you're onto something. Okay? When it's solid and it's available at all times and it's reliable, and therefore you can truly rest. Yeah, you can rest in there. That engine can be turned off. You can't turn it off, but it can be turned off. Yeah. Hmm. You know, Buddhism calls it the cherishing of self, which is a pretty good description. So the mental state loves it. Through all the suffering, through all the terrible shit, it's milking it. It gets a sense of being unique and special and right, hopefully. Yeah. Whatever it has, whatever schematics are in place, it wants to live in like a house of mirrors. It just wants to see itself and everything. Yeah. Sort of like a mobile Narcissus pond. Yeah, it can be vertical and it's just looking at itself all day through all of the dramas and whatever. Yeah. It wears thin as you get older. I mean, maybe when you're 13 and 14, you know, but Jesus. You have to get, you must have reached the inherent emptiness of things here. Your most cherished memories are gone, yeah. Things all, yeah. So, any questions? You know, it's weird, because I work with a lot of people who suffer, you know, they seemingly have a lot of suffering. And you know, things are just going to go the way they go. Hopefully, they'll be done before they're done, you know. They won't die before the thing is done, where they've lost sufficient enough interest in it all that they're open to see, yeah, what they're not. And then it would be amazed how taking themselves to be what they think they are is the root of the suffering, really. You can't force that on people. They believe they're going through the suffering and they want to be there to have the relief. Yeah, they don't see that the cause of the suffering is that wants to be there to have the relief is how the suffering persists. Yeah. You don't think you could be saddled with a different kind of logic?
I didn't understand the first word.
It's sort of like the mental state, the self-centeredness has its logic. You can fit another logic. You can have another way of seeing. You're not like a... It's not like the computers where they have each one has a different plug. I mean, you can plug into a lot of different modalities. It's not just self-centeredness isn't the only program that can be run through this. You know, it can be there can be other downloads, which and some of them don't have self as the center. They don't. You see things from a non-centered point. Yeah. And it makes more sense to the system than the old helmet of self-centeredness. It just makes completely much more sense than that helmet. Yeah. So. that's it, eh? Yeah. That's all. Hey, I'd love to go in it, but we have it all on the talks. If you listen to the talks, there's a logic in there, and there's a breaking down of what we're not, with the hopes that you can have a sense of it. Yeah. I mean, if you look through, turn that off, Mike. Right? If you look through the videos, you could paste together an understanding. Yeah, that would be it would have practicality here, even for the action figure. You know, just the difference between what's not happening and what's happening can go a long way. Yeah, to see the real illness is the carrier of the illness is time. Yeah. More people are more worried about what they think is going to happen than what's happening in a lot of cases. Yeah. So the platform for the entertaining of the insanity is based in time. That's the platform. It's good to know. Check it out. Don't you want to get to the exact nature of the wrong? I mean, if you really want relief, like we say in recovery, you've got to get to the causes and conditions of the condition. The condition isn't in and of itself its own conditioning. Yeah, there's causes and conditions to your present condition. Yeah? And there's an exact nature of the wrong. And what's the exact nature of the wrong? It's the act of being identified as something you're not. That's the exact nature of the quote-unquote wrong. I don't see it as really wrong, but let's look at it that way, yeah? So better put it back on again, because I want to get
Yeah, this is good. This is good.
So if you get to the exact nature of the wrong, I'm sharing it with you, and maybe you'll find it out. I believe it's if the attention and interest, yeah, is habitually going into the mental states, memories, thoughts, and the interpretation of perceptions, right? If the attention and interest is going in there, it always finds those activities in the act of being identified as the doer, the thinker, the feeler, the taster, the toucher, and it's pictured as a body, as a thing, yeah? And you can get back to the whole premise, which is the whole premise of the leaving of non-duality, which is subjectiveness, which would be the non-duality, yeah? The mental state observes it, attributes it to the object. So now you have the first not two that non-duality is negating. Non-duality, what it's calling not two is just that. It's mixing the subjectiveness, awareness, to the thing, and believing the thing is aware. Yeah? So the object is suddenly seen as the subject. That's not two. That's what's being negated by non-duality. Non-duality is negating that seeming attributing to an object the quality of subjectiveness. That's all. So Hoang Po comes in and says, a great master, whatever can be perceived, which is an object, cannot be that which is perceiving, which is subject. Yeah? So the subject is what's perceiving. Now, you want to go, go through 7 continents looking for something? Why not just sit there and see that? See, is there an activity that's assumed to be a fact, that's taken for granted, that's reinforced lazily all day, that I'm conscious. I, as a body, am conscious. That's fundamentally off from the view of non-duality. Non-duality is negating that. So here you are, starting from there, entertaining non-duality. That which is being negated non-duality is now becoming a non-dualist. Do you need to go to like fucking advanced classes? Everything is right in the basics. It's right there. If you just hear the system, hear it. It's lazily assuming that when they're seeing, which would be a subjective event, yeah, seeing, awareness, whatever, that what's doing that is the object. And not only is it one lesson, there's 5 lessons in one. Because there's a hearing, it's doing the same thing with that. Feeling, it's doing the same thing. It's more than 5. Tasting, touching, thinking, they're all being done the same thing. Yeah, the same thing. What notices the thoughts isn't the thing. Paul isn't noticing thoughts. Subjectiveness notices thoughts. Yeah. The noticing of the thought is claimed by the mental state, and then suddenly it's attributed to the object. There you go. Duality, which what is negated by non-duality. How is that which is negated by non-duality arrive at non-duality? It's never left non-duality. Subject-object isn't true. I don't care how much it's assumed or presupposed or inferred or implied or remembered, yeah, or remembered by worrying in the future for an object, yeah, it's not so. Yeah. So wow, wouldn't that be great news? Now, do I want to sit the object down and talk to it? No, it doesn't go fucking anywhere. Let's talk to subject. Hey, maybe you're not the object. I don't want to keep talking to the object. You're subject. No, it doesn't go anywhere because the objectiveness is going to override it. It is, hasn't it? So let's go to the subject. Are you an object? Are you the thing? Yeah. You weren't even the thing when it was first the thing, when you were a baby. So you're a Johnny-come-lately. I mean, what do you do with that little big chunk of time? Well, there's Paul was born, had no idea of Paul. As living for about 1.5 years. Oh, we'll forget that. That was Paul. Even though Paul had no idea of Paul, that was Paul. That's a future Paul saying it was a past Paul. Yeah? I mean, how much... I don't see why everyone wants to get into the bells and whistles. Just go to the basics. Yeah? Let it get rearranged there. Yeah? It's like this. It's like here, your physicality. You have an acidic pH, yeah? A lot of shit grows in it. So what happens is you do certain things and you change the pH of the body, and that which was accommodating to these parasites is now hostile to it. The parasites can't grab a hold. They don't have, it's not a friendly environment. Something has changed, yes? Just by changing the pH. But in a weird way, that's what's happening, yeah? So the selfing has found an incredible home, yeah? And every time you meet it, you call it you. I mean, it can ruin your house, and you'll call it you. It will fucking ruin your marriages, fucking everything else. You'll still call it you. It has carte blanche, access to all your secrets, because it's you. And it's using them for nefarious purposes, which is to get a reflection of itself as you. Yeah. If something comes in and you're already in, you don't have to let it in. If the horse is in front of the cart, you are in the house. That which is out of the house wants to assume it's already in the house. You're not. I don't see it. Get established, yes, and you'll see that which is out is always implying it's already in. It ain't in. It ain't in. It's out. Yeah, it's out. You're in. All right, so I'm done now for sure. How to get that second thing out.
Not done until you pass the basket.
All right. I may keep coming now. But any questions? You know, you've gotten it, yes? You've been served the spiritual subpoena. It's working, isn't it? Really? Isn't it working? Use travel lighter, yeah? Z, traveling lighter. What?
Hummingbirds, you hummingbirds?
Oh, the birds are here, yeah. Yes, traveling lighter. Keith, traveling lighter. Amelia, yeah. She may be the exception to the rule. Traveling lighter. What more do you want? Yeah. And if it's always available at all times, right where you are, with no requirement necessary, hey, that should be I would say that would provoke a sense of assurance.
Yeah.
I would think that would be the appropriate response. Yeah. Yeah. Like, the alarms are off. Yeah. Don't know. You know, the emergencies. No. Yeah. You are what you're looking for. Hallelujah.
Yeah, hallelujah.
End of story. Now let's have some coffee and shit.
It's really
Oh, let's pass the basket. Hold on. And we have to find a
Pizza too, if
basket.
anybody wants to stay for pizza.
Oh, we have pizza too. Yeah.
gluten